how to scale your AI apps. I'm here with Praful Lalchandani. You're the Vice President Product for AI Data Center Solutions at Juniper. And we're here at Mobile World Congress. It's a crowded place, we're still early. Can you explain a little bit more? What are the key challenges from a networking perspective if companies start scaling their AI applications?
Yeah, Ron, great question. So first of all, anybody launching an AI service has many different challenges. But from an infrastructure perspective, what we have seen is that organizations are trying to walk away from closed ecosystem architectures that are single vendor only into more best of breed solutions. And as they move into these best of breed solutions, they don't need the comfort that these solutions are going to work together. And even over the period of just last 1 year, we've seen a lot of democratization of AI infrastructure happening. And this is really happening on two fronts. The first is on the GPUs themselves. While NVIDIA is still the clear leader, what we have seen as Juniper is that over the last 1 year, more and more organizations are starting to experiment or even productize other GPUs and accelerators out there, whether this is AMD or Intel or Cerebras or SambaNova, all the other ones out there. And the same thing is happening on the networking side as well. While most discussions in 2023 were about, I can only deploy InfiniBand, now we are seeing discussions change from why Ethernet to how Ethernet. More and more customers believe that Ethernet is the preferred choice, and now just they need to know how they want to do it. And Juniper is really taking the lead in evolving Ethernet along that journey. We were the first vendor in the industry to launch an OEM-based 800 gig switch in the market, and we've been very successful with that. And we're also helping our customers scale their AI data centers with delivering software features that deliver a self-optimizing Ethernet. Think of it like a Google Maps for the network. When you see a congestion, you avoid going down that path and you go down a different path to the network.
It's a nice way to describe it. We see a trend as well, GPU as a service, AI as a service. Can you explain a little bit more how this works, and especially from a network perspective?
Yeah, Ron, and what we saw over the last 1 year is that there's a new breed of companies, there are cloud companies that are coming up and popping up that are offering GPU as a service or AI as a service. Now these could be service providers who have been long entrenched in their market, and they're trying to go into new markets. But sometimes these are startups that are referred to as neo cloud providers that are entering that space as well. And they're really trying to cater to this enterprise need. While enterprises are rushing to build AI services, enterprises don't have the skill sets themselves to do it, and then sometimes economics or pay-as-you-grow economics works a lot better, right? So that's why this GPU as a service providers are really taking a lot of shape. And in order to enable these, Juniper actually over the last week has launched an offering to enable GPU as a service providers. And we are really catering to three different needs, or three basic problems that these providers are facing, right? The first is time to market. Many of these are startups. Many of them are need to rush to monetize their services, strike while the iron is hot, and they're in that rush. And what Juniper can do is help them bring up their services in record time. And we're using Juniper Apstra's validated blueprints in order to instantiate an entire cluster, AI cluster, in a few minutes. And we also have integration with OpenShift. So any of these GPU as a service providers who are building their clusters using Kubernetes or OpenShift now can deliver the network as a service, so that you don't have to whenever you turn up a tenant on a GPU, you don't need to have manually go and stitch the network together. It can be done as a service, right? Now the second problem that any AI as a service provider will face is that your GPUs are expensive. You don't want to be running those at lower utilization, and any network congestion can essentially bring the GPU utilization down, and you're wasting valuable resources, right? So performance is a key metric that is important for GPU as a service providers. And again, we have provided the products like the 800 gig switches and routing products to enable high-speed communication between GPUs. But we also have, again in Apstra, the capability to pinpoint with great accuracy congestion hotspots and to take remediation action against to avoid those congestion hotspots in the infrastructure. And then finally, multi-tenant networks is inherent in GPU as a service providers. They are offering that service to multiple tenants. So security and isolation in the net infrastructure is again very important. And Juniper has historically had a very strong security portfolio, but what we have recently introduced is a SRX 4700, which in one RU form factor packs in 1.6 terabits per second of firewall performance. That's unprecedented, Ron. That's unprecedented in the industry so far, right? And we do recommend to our customers that they deploy a defense in depth strategy, so that even if a host is infected, you prevent lateral movements of that malware across multiple tenants in your infrastructure by deploying EVP and VXLAN based fabrics that completely isolate tenants in the backend fabric. So our offering for GPU as a service providers is really around speed, it's about security, and it's about efficiency.
Yeah, and in the beginning you were mentioning already the open ecosystem. What's the importance of your open ecosystem in the whole perspective?
I think open is going to be very, very important. And I'll give you an example. One of our GPU as a service providers is Vultr, and it's a public reference. So Vultr has deployed an open ecosystem-based GPU as a service offering based on AMD's MI300 GPUs, based on Broadcom's 400 gig Power 2 NIC and 800 gig networking from Juniper. The reason open is important is because it helps the vendor to whoever is building the AI cluster to pick best of breed components, but at much lower economical cost. If you're locked into a single vendor, the costs are just generally going to go higher, right? And Juniper, for its part, is doing its bit to enable customers like Vultr build that open ecosystem. And I would say nothing exemplifies this more than the AI lab that Juniper, built on our premises, where we have included ecosystem vendors from GPU providers like NVIDIA and AMD. We have NIC providers like Broadcom, AMD, and NVIDIA, and we have storage partners like Weka and VAST. Yeah. And in this entire ecosystem, we are actually testing these entire ecosystem with real-world AI workloads, both training as well as inference, right? And then eventually all of this is thoroughly tested and delivered as a validated design, which is a very simple blueprint that customers can just take and deploy for their cluster and be 100% confident that their cluster is going to operate at high efficiency.
Yeah, and last but not least, looking a little bit more into the future, what should potential clients expect? How can they prepare to scale their AI applications?
So look, I think we are seeing that every year GPUs and accelerators are just getting more and more powerful. They're blasting more and more traffic through the infrastructure, through the network. We are seeing models are just getting larger and larger as well. So Ethernet will have to keep up to those challenges of scaling for multi-GPU communication and much higher performance in the future. And the way we are doing that is, today everybody is deploying based on 400 gig and 800 gig Ethernet, but we are seeing 1.6 terabits per second coming right around the horizon in 2026. Power consumption is a very big issue in AI clusters, and Juniper, for its part, is doing a lot to reduce power consumption for optics as well as switches by almost 30 to 40%. Like that's going to be huge, when we have that coming in 2026 with things like liquid cooling and everything else, right? And then finally, we are participating in UEC as well to further enable that open ecosystem and to drive down costs for our customers. And on that note of open, I would maybe like to take the opportunity to invite your viewers to join our AI data center event on March 11th. It's called AI Unbound, Your Data Center, Your Way. And in this event, we're going to talk about how Juniper, Broadcom, and AMD are enabling an open ecosystem for AI infrastructure and really helping our customers with validated designs to accelerate that AI journey.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. And I would like to thank everybody and of course join us as well in March at the event. You can subscribe with a link in the comment. Praful, thanks a lot, great insight, and thank you for watching here from Mobile World Congress at the Juniper booth 2025. Thank you for watching and I look forward to seeing you next time.